Hello, everybody. Today we're going to talk a little bit about the Senate in Pennsylvania and Montana. Montana, very key state for 2024. We'll get to that in just a minute, but first let's talk about Pennsylvania. And here's the news right here. Bob Casey, he's going to run for a fourth term. Now, it's not really that much of a surprise. It was pretty expected, but now it's official. This article goes on to talk a little bit about that race. It goes on to mention Casey did undergo treatment for prostate cancer. He seems to have recovered, and his last name is big in Pennsylvania. He seems to be a popular incumbent. So this news almost puts Pennsylvania off the table, in my opinion, for the Republicans. So you can go on to read about this article if you'd like. And the Republican Senatorial Committee, they're coming after Casey. Obviously, that's what they're going to do. I don't think it's going to matter much, but let's move on to the state of this race. Here's the Wikipedia page, and it's super early, so there's not going to be a lot to say. Nobody on the Republican side has officially declared yet. We have an announcement pending here from Doug Mastriano. Apparently he's interested in jumping into this race, although he did just lose an election for governor in the midterms, and it wasn't really all that close. So for him to come right back 2 years later and go for the U.S. Senate, I don't see how he would do that much better. Now, granted, I know he did not get a lot of financial support or establishment support in those midterms. I'm sure that would have got him a few points closer if Republicans were serious about supporting Mastriano, but they weren't, and his grassroots support was not enough to take down Shapiro. Now, would it be stronger here against Casey in the Senate in 2024? Maybe, but I don't think it would be much stronger, if anything. Again, Casey is a household name there. He's reasonably popular, and Mastriano, he's not really popular outside of the Republican base. It would take something like a big red wave in 2024, a terrible national economy, maybe even a scandal for Casey in order to make this truly competitive. Now, outside of Mastriano, David McCormick, it appears like he might get into this race. He was the runner-up to Dr. Oz in the 2022 Senate election in that Republican primary. I don't know how strong he is either. He got in late, and he did much better than expected. He nearly won. I think there's establishment concerns about McCormick. Maybe he tries to rebrand himself. Maybe he becomes the clear frontrunner. I would think the base would be much more enthused about Mastriano. But then again, how enthused could they be if he just took a big loss just a few months ago? So there's plenty of time. Someone else could get into this race. But if it is just those two, here's a poll from March. It shows Mastriano with the lead, and it's too early for any general election polling, but I would think this would be a likely Democratic hold at this point. Anything could happen, but this one is almost off the table in my view for the Republicans. It doesn't mean they should give up on it. You should pretty much always fight unless it's a complete lost cause. So we'll see what happens, but that's a small update out of Pennsylvania. Now let's move on to Montana. Now this is a key state. We talk about it frequently. Jon Tester, the incumbent Democrat, he's also running for a fourth term. Republicans badly want to pick that seat up, and they might have been able to give themselves a small advantage. Here's the news. The Republicans are looking to change the voting system and make it a top two jungle primary where those top two vote getters would advance to the general election, and that would eliminate any third-party candidates, theoretically from siphoning away any votes from the Republican candidate. Now, this is supposed to only be for 2024, and it's only supposed to be for the U.S. Senate. So naturally, this gets cries of rank partisanship, and on this one, that's going to be hard to deny. There's no question that this is just a move purely to target Tester, try to give the Republicans an extra point or two advantage, and that could be enough to tip the scales. Now, in principle, it is nice to see someone win with over 50% of the vote. That is satisfying, and that's something it would be nice to see in every office in every state. So there's a little bit of deeper substance that would make sense if they applied it across all the statewide elections. But they're making this out to be some kind of a trial run to see if it works. Maybe they go with it, maybe they don't after that. But anybody being fair about this one knows this is just to try to take out Tester. And I'm sure a lot of Republicans are cheering this on because they want to see the Republicans not pull any punches. They want to go after Tester. They think that they should get this seat. It's mostly a red state, and if all they have to do is demand that the winner gets over 50% of the vote, then they could say there's really nothing all that nefarious about it. So probably a little bit of dirty politics there. But the question is, how much is this really going to help the Republicans? Well, here's an article at 538. They cover this story. They seem to outline that it's not really going to help the Republicans that much. Tester's previous wins, they've been low single digits, and only once, that's last time in 2018, he even got over 50% of the vote, and that was of course during a blue wave. His name is well known in Montana. He's generally not viewed as extreme. Once in a while he does go against his party, so I don't think the Republicans are just going to walk all over Tester. And how much vote would they actually get from that Libertarian candidate? Well, they try to explain it here. And of course it varies depending on the turnout and depending on the margin. So it's tough to say, looking at the past results, how it would turn out in 2024. I think this is a pure toss-up, and it could go either way. So if we go back to Wikipedia, take a look at the state of this race. Tester, he's going to be the nominee for the Democrats. Nobody's going to challenge him in a primary. I'm sure true progressives are disappointed with Tester, but in a state like Montana, that's the best they can get. And on the Republican side, there's no declared candidates yet. Potential candidates: Austin Knudsen, Matt Rosendale, Tim Sheehy, Governor Greg Gianforte. He's declined to run. I'm sure he's going to run for re-election. I would assume he's a strong favorite for that office. He probably would have been a strong candidate for the Senate as well. There's one poll here for the primary. Rosendale, he's in the lead. He does not get a majority of support, and he did lose to Tester back in 2018. So I think he kind of had his chance. He's a little beat up at this point. He is in the U.S. House. His district is very red. I don't really think he's super strong when going up statewide against Tester. I think Tester's probably going to have a little bit more relatability, a little bit more charisma, and he's going to come off as more of a centrist, and that could give Tester the edge. So we'll see what happens in this primary. It's too early to say what's going to happen yet, but this is the news out of Montana. Republicans going to that top 2 primary. That's not unheard of. It is unheard of to target it to one office for 1 year. Will that be enough to give Republicans the advantage, or will it actually backfire and Tester wins yet again in this fairly red state? So let me know in the comments, what do you think about Bob Casey in Pennsylvania? Do Republicans have a chance there, or Democrats have that locked up? And what about in Montana? And what do you think would happen in a top 2 primary going up against Tester? Of course, it does come down to the national environment, but either way, let me know down below. On your way out, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I will see you on the next video.